Una pues Spike.
Vamos la vez.
Y man, no turn the buck away.
All right. Good night to everyone. Everyone tune in to VTJM Radio, tuned in to Don Z Don Facebook page, and tune in to Donovan Fabian's YouTube channel. It's my absolute pleasure to bring some special guests to you tonight. Sons of the Soul of Dominica, members of the Impulse Band. We have with us tonight Mr. Russell Henderson from South City Grand Bay.
Yes, man. Greetings.
Greetings, brother. And we have our compatriot Leroy Spiky Geist. Where he from? He's gonna tell us, okay? So I'm very happy to be here. This is Vibes In. We've been off for a few weeks or a month plus because I was on vacation, but we're back with a bang, and we couldn't have any better guest than our brothers from Dominica. And my co-host is the man himself, DJ Kojak, based in Queens, New York, CEO and proprietor of VTJM Radio. And let me have him, say some welcome to you guys, and we'll get going. How about that?
Pleasure.
Good evening, my brothers, man. It's a pleasure to have you guys. First, I have to thank you guys for taking, time from a busy schedule. I know in the foreign, it's always a hustle, to put that food on that table. So I appreciate you guys, man, for, taking the time out to join us, and being on Vibes In VTGM Radio, the evolution of internet radio.
Pleasure.
Yes, I. So at this time, I'll give Russell the opportunity to say good night to the fans and listeners. Russell, good night. A pleasure to have you on Vibes In.
Yes, man. It's a pleasure to be here. I watched a couple of your episodes. Normally I'm always on the go, but hey, it's good tonight. At least you caught me just in time, just coming through the door. But I want to say greetings to all our fans out there, all our well-wishers, our family, especially in South City, Roseau, Peatland. It's just a pleasure that, just miss home, wish I was home, but hey, we got to do what we got to do, keep the music alive and just, keep the hustle going, So it's a pleasure to be here with everybody tonight.
Absolutely, pleasure to have you. And Spiky, if you mind, could you please unmute your video? We can't see you.
I was just on a while ago. Okay, let's see what's going on here.
But in the meantime, you could still, say your introduction.
I just want to say good evening to the listening area. A pleasure to be on VTJM Radio this evening, Mr. Donovan Fabian and his co-host in the Queens. We have along with us members of the Impulse Band, Russell Henderson, I hope Derek Liverpool and Ted Henderson. It's a pleasure for us to meet here this evening to have a little discussion. So we're looking for the discussion. And we want to say a special good evening to friends and family and loved ones, well-wishers and fans the world over, Dominica in particular, the Florida region, and everybody else. So we're looking forward to this little gathering and chat this evening, folks. So stay tuned, and here we go with you.
Yes, I. And last but not least, I want to say good evening to all the fans of VTJM Radio, all the fans of DJ Duns and DJ Kojak, all the listeners and viewers on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. And I'm sure you're going to be fulfilled with some good information, getting to know some great guys from Dominica in the Tampa area doing some great, great things. All right. So we're going to kick off with a few questions. Russell first.
Yeah.
Tell the people who is Russell, where you from, your background growing up in Dominica.
Yeah, well, as most people know, my mom's teacher nanny, enough respect, total, utmost respect to the Queen,
To the max.
For, bringing us up on a strict, when I tell you strict, but it all paid off, So I give enough love to my mom. Well, grow up in Grand Bay, hustling, listening to guys like Groovers, Black Machine, all these bands, these early bands, I was always inspired, man. I just used to listen and, no tutor, but hey, I'm just listening and I'm just, checking the vibe. And, I always had that desire, and then it so happened that, hey, I went to grammar school and here I met the genius himself, Spikey, already on that guitar. So that was even more inspiration to learn, So the music gone way back before Hurricane David, man. We've been involved, just trying to get somewhere in the music. It's kind of hard because, music is a tough business, but you just give it your best shot. That's all you can do, keep promoting, keep doing what you're doing. And, hopefully one of those days you be the right place at the right time,
Awesome. And Spikey, same goes for you. Tell the people who is Spikey, where you from in Dominica, and a little bit of your upbringing.
Well, I'm basically from Dominica, not quite well known, but I've been around the music business for like 53 years, started in 1973. Of course, I am from Marigot originally, but I've been all over Dominica. I suppose I was raised in Marigot, Roseau, St. Joseph area. So I got introduced to music around 1973. At that time, I lived at John's Lane in Roseau. And we used to listen to the Calypso shows from the Windsor Park around 1972. And we had all the Calypso like Robin and Cater and the solo. So I had two cousins. We would sit on the roof of the house and blow the comb on the paper, mimicking the horn section. I guess that was Swinging Stars and all of that. Then we had a big box in the attic. We used to be beating on the box like a band. We had a band named Blue Stars Combo. It was just a childish thing, And of course, from there, a gentleman came from Marigot he was seeing a girl where I lived and he thought I could sing. We had a record player. So on the other side of the street where I lived, right across the street was the home of Vivian Wallace from XL1. And Tony Winston, his brother, all these guys, they were musicians. So Vivian played in Wooden Stools. He worked at the post office. Tony Winston, his brother by mother, played in Wheaties. He worked at Kilburn Wireless. So all the musicians that you can recall in Roseau used to come by that house. That's 1972, Corbo, Rock Kids, Lucian Guy, all these guys, and they're all related, sort of, they have a Marigot connection and all that. So they're all related. So, as little kids, we used to be hearing all this music. And then in 1973, Oscar took me to Marigot to sing with there was a band forming called Black Affairs. So I went there and sang a song in 1973, a song from the Trade Winds and all of that. The following year, I moved back to Marigot, and this gentleman, well, everybody knew him as Booger. He came from England, won some money, came to Marigot with a bunch of equipment, started a band called The Undertakers. So the name came about because when we played when Black Affairs took a break, so they called us The Undertakers. So I played with them I could only sing at that time, so I was the lead singer. We had a couple of people playing with us. So we used to go around Dominica, particularly Grand Bay, Bagatelle, Petit Safan, and all that, play, these years. Thereafter, about 1975, I came back to Roseau to go to grammar school. And before that, it's a long story, so I want to make it short. But basically, that's how I started. And from there, I used to play in grammar school. They had calypso shows. I met Russell there. Russell was a musician as well, and quite a few guys from Granby as well. So we had the Zyros and people like that. And we used to go up to Granby to play at the center. There was Groovers, there was Black Machines, and all these guys. And from then I moved on to the Swinging Stars, and so the story is a long one. But basically, that's how I got started. And from then Donnie, the Cool Session story. So
yes, we get to that. And I know you have a very extensive background in music. So we're gonna go step by step, because if you have to tell us the background, it's gonna take us 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
so
about.
we go in phases, okay? Yeah. So Russell Hendo, you tell me, who was your early inspiration in music?
Well,
What
I
inspired
have
you?
to. Growing up, we used to listen to a lot of well, apart from Groovers and Black Machine, I mean, guys in the, Ride the Exile One, all these guys I grew up listening to, Liquidizer and all the Gramax, we grew up listening to these guys, hearing them all the time. But I always had a kind of expansion to my idea of music. So I used to have a nice little FM radio, and I used to listen to all these stations from Martinique and Guadeloupe, and we used to get a couple Spanish stations, man. And these guys, man, I used to listen to these guys, and it was like, wow, man, the quality of music, the vibes was just really inspiring. But then I fell in love with George Benson and Carlos Santana, and that just took me on a different plane. It really just took me. I couldn't play anything like them. I couldn't even play the songs, but the chords, man, the notes, the strings, man, just got me on a different level completely. So early years, I used to listen to a lot of Zyro and Co. But for higher heights, I just used to listen to a lot of like Benson, Carlos Santana. Every time DBS radio played Black Magic Woman, man, I used to be like, wow, that was a standard, So, you get inspiration from these advanced guys, and you just hope one day you learn to play some stuff from them and improve yourself,
Right. So I guess that, I see, the jazzy feel in you, because, you have a lot of videos on Facebook where you do your thing, a lot of jazzy stuff. So I guess that's all part of the influence, yeah.
Yeah. When I'm home and I'm relaxing, I'm a learner, you never stop learning,
Right.
And, the sad thing is I've never really been to any kind of school, never had any kind of tutor or anything. So basically I'm just teaching myself. I listen and I just I don't try to play what they play. I just try to play something close and try to develop my own vibe. So, but when I'm home relaxing in my little corner, that's the kind of vibe. There's a time for cadence, a time for zouk, a time for reggae. There's a time for all kind of music. But when I'm home chilling out, that's the time I just love to hear like out of the world kind of guitar,
Right. So you are you play the guitar. That's what you play, right?
Yeah, I do a little bit in other little instruments, but basically that's what I'm really, interested in is, getting a guitar on a different level, getting to play on a different level.
Okay. Before I go to Spikey, one more question I have for you. Most people who I speak to who are musicians, who end up being musicians, tell me that most of them started playing music or singing in church. Was that part of your history too?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. I remember back in the days when I was in Gospel Mission Church, I couldn't play any instrument yet. And we had a little choir in the church, and naturally I found myself doing lead vocals for the church, going to Cooley Bistry, Salisbury, Portsmouth. We had little conventions all over the place. So I was the one singing, at that time. But then once my voice started going through that, leaving the childish stage and entering the mature stage, it just kind of changed, So something I couldn't help,
Okay. Yep. So Spikey, tell us first, what instruments do you play?
Well, again, in 1974, I was I was taught to play piano by Ruth Musgrave. That's the lady I grew up with, Ruth Musgrave. And she had some other friends like Nurse Benta, who is the mother of Benta from Groovers, and then people like Nurse Mabel Watty and Herman James Spark. So basically I learned to play piano in 74 through these folks. And then the year before that, my mother sent me a guitar and I was playing guitar then. So I was playing the keyboard 73, 74 onward the guitar just about the same time. And then later on I went on a cruise ship and a guy gave me a trumpet. So I learned to play the trumpet around 1984. And the year I came back to Dominica off the cruise ship, I got a trombone from a friend of mine. And I started playing the trombone. Of course, there's no formal schooling at that time. And around the same time, I got a guy called James at a saxophone. So we started messing around with the saxophone, you know. And then when I was in the U.S. Army, there was a combo. So I started doing some steel drums. So you ended up playing all these instruments. The main reason for that was because in Dominica, we didn't have a lot of horn players. So you had to, we always needed horns. So we ended up in the horns thing, learning to play the horns. So then I ended up in Music Lovers Government Band, Swinging Stars, playing trumpet, trombone. And then in the U.S. Army, I was a trombone player and so forth. So basically, I play a couple of instruments, because of that experience, basically.
So, as the viewers can see, Spikey is a multi-talented musician. He can play almost every instrument there is, and you see his history, his cachet. He played for Music Lovers. He played for the Army Band. He played for Swinging Stars. Bands of great reputation. So this man is a genius in music, and I will not, I'm not trying to patronize you, but I know your skill and the talent, and Spikey is one of the geniuses. Yeah. So let us go over to Russell. What year did you migrate from Dominica?
Well, I left home about 1980, 85. I went up to London, spent a few years up there, try to
Did you play up there? You play up there in
Yeah,
the band?
When I got up there, I found myself doing sessions with like a band from Grenada called Calabash, and then I played with a band from Barbados. I don't quite remember. I can remember the guys, but I don't remember the name of the band. And we were together for a while, and then I decided, no, man, we need to get some Dominica music together. So I linked up with man like Jose, Jose Henderson.
Yes.
Yeah, and then a couple guys from Portsmouth and Dino Toussaint and the Billy, from Portsmouth, and then Clem Begg from Granby, and we kind of put something together, and we had a real good thing going on. We had 3 white guys on trumpet, on the brass section, trumpet, trombone, saxophone. So we went to Belgium, Sweden, Denmark. We made a few moves around, and then we had DA connection, and we try to get the vibes to flow, because in England sometimes it's hard. Everybody's busy, everybody's preoccupied,
right.
But and it's seasonal. But we had to do something. I stayed with them a few years, but hey, I'll be honest. Music is not just about playing and entertainment. Music is about business. And when I couldn't take that aspect of it, I just said, well, guys, go ahead, carry on the band, and I'm out of it,
Right.
So I kind of hibernated for a couple of years after that. I played with Clayton Geese. He would call me now and then, tell me, hey, these guys are short, come, I need you to, Julie Morillon, we covered Julie Morillon once. Julie Martin, I played a lot with Julie up in England, and Armstrong, now and then we'll meet up and have a jam session with these guys, But then I kind of just took a little backseat, because I just realized, we need to, music is not just entertainment, but music has a lot to do with business.
Right.
And that was one of the things that just deterred me, So I just took a little hibernation for a while,
Yeah. So are you saying at that time you were not making, it wasn't commercially viable for you or successful for you?
No, we did some good gigs, I must say, because as I say, we went to Denmark, Belgium, Sweden, we moved around, But if there is no unity and there is always I don't have time. It's not worth being in a band, even if you're making X amount of money, to always be in a band with commotion and drama and
Right.
guys who don't have direction. Because at the end of the day, you're only playing for the money for the night.
Right.
I always saw music as something as like, man, if you put yourself to it in the right way, you can go far,
Right.
But you have to have the right people with you. If you don't have the right people with you, you're just gonna keep falling. So I just said, and I had a reasonable job. I just said, let me just concentrate on my job and my children and my family, and so someone calls me, I'd go do a gig, but then I just said, but I stayed home and mainly for composing. I compose my songs, and up to now that's what I'm doing. I still have like my setup, and I'm just composing my own vibes.
Right. Right.
Sometimes music you get even more from it just doing your own thing.
Right. Yeah. So, Impulse Band is based in Tampa, Florida, but you live in a different city.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Well, I live in Miami area.
Okay.
Yeah, North Miami.
All right.
So it is a long trek. I got to tell you, and lately it's becoming worse. I mean, it used to take me 4.5 hours to get to Tampa, but for the last 2-3 months, it's been taking me like 6 hours, man. So it's a long drive. I've been across that alley for Alligator Alley. I've been across there all hours of the morning, noon, or night. So it started having a strain on me, but luckily, Spikey is there, right there with the guys, and they're holding it together.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm happy about it. Once the band can keep going, I'm pretty good with that.
Yeah. So, by the way, let me just say that Russell is the older brother to Ted Henderson, who is the bassist of Impulse Band. We're gonna try to connect with Ted via phone a little bit, if we can, because he was supposed to be on tonight, but he has some technical difficulties. But yeah. So over to Spikey. Spikey, so how long did you play with Music Lovers? I'm interested to know that.
Well, I was kind of always in and out of Dominica, so a year at a time, and I would come back and play whenever I was around, basically. But I must add that from 1975, Russell was my monitor at grammar school for a while. He was my monitor, and he used to tell me, stop talking. And he would say, Geese, stop talking. And I would talk,
Oh, your monitor?
He was a school, he was a class monitor, yeah.
Yeah, we went to grammar school together.
He would tell me, stop talking. Geese, stop talking.
And you know what, Russell? He has not stopped talking up to now.
And I also played with him when he came to Dominica with a group called DA UK Connection. I played with him and we did some work in Dominica and Portsmouth, different places. I played with them once,
All right.
So Russell and I go back almost 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
That's good.
Yeah.
Long time.
How about Swinging Stars? What was your schedule with them like?
I started Swinging Stars 1980 and I left about 82. I came back several times, used to write music for Calypso Association, did a whole bunch of things with them, toured with them and all of that, And so I've been with them for intermittently over last time I played with them in Canada was 2019. Very good friends of mine. We know each other. I mean, the older groups like Norman and these guys. Now they have a younger group, but so, probably played that over a 20-year period. In and out, back and forth.
Cool. So, what year did you migrate from Dominica?
Well, I finally left in 1993.
Okay.
But I also used to do work with Levi Lowe, Black Ophelia, and all these people, like record albums for them.
Oh, that's right.
Tasha Henderson, different
people.
He
did say that. He was on with us a few months ago, last month, the month before.
Okay, all right.
Your name.
He's listening too.
Yeah.
He's locked in.
Oh, he's listening. He's locked in. Levi Lowe Black is locked in. Good night to you, Levi. Super L. Also, the Wizard spoke about you doing something with him. Also, Spikey.
Well, I used to write for all the Calypsonians. I mean, too numerous to mention from about late '80s Hurricane and all these Scrunter and Hunter. I remember when Hunter first came to Roto to sing Calypso. Many of these guys, the older guys, I worked with them for years. So I kind of knew most of them.
All right.
So you can consider me an elder in that kind of a thing. Actually, it's a hell of a thing to say, but
Yes, an elder, a mentor, and everything.
Time flies quickly.
When you left DA for good, where did you migrate to?
Well, there were a couple of options. Paris, there was St. Lucia. I ended up in St. John USVI family.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's why I met you. I met you in St. John in 1999.
Well, yeah, there's the Canil Bay and the Cool Session story.
Yes. We'll come to that story. Yeah. So let's go to the Cool Session story. What year did you join Cool Session? And was it from the inception of the band?
Well, okay, so I first learned of Cool Session around the year 1982. I was in Tortola playing with a band called Masada. After I left Swinging Stars, I migrated to Tortola. Some guys, they were there with a band, and they have Glenn Lamothe and Sephora Jim. They asked me, and I just started teaching, but, I had nothing else to do, and music is something I always loved, so I went to Tortola. And we were supposed to go to Texas, and we didn't make it for visa reasons. And then there was this other group in St. John called African Roots. That's the first time I heard of them. That was, Sally Atty and family, Charles family. And then a couple of years later, they came to Marigot to play. They were in Dominica playing. I met them in Marigot. And then I subsequently went to St. John and I met them. And then that's how I got, involved with the band. That was about 1993, 94.
Okay.
So I stayed with them until about 2001 when I moved to Florida. But I would go back occasionally to, do work with them, do albums and all of that.
Right. And these guys are from Point Michelle in Dominica, correct?
Originally Point Michelle, yeah. They come in the wake of the Swinging Busters, who started in 1966. As you know, they were in St. John. They had moved to St. John and became Henry and the Saints, the Swinging Busters.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
With Ozzie Henry and Bell and Simon Blaise and these guys.
Cool. All right. So, did you ever record any albums with Cool Session?
Yeah, quite a few, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 probably.
Okay.
Because between 1993 and then after T-Shell came into the band, every year they would do an album, And so the first album was Never Give Up on Love, and on which you have your song Caribbean Music, in which you wrote that song, and then
I got a song
quite
too.
a few albums. Well, yeah. Well, original, as you know, I thought you were from St. Lucia. When we registered this song, I thought you were from St. Lucia. So we have the Caribbean Music, and I just sent it to you via your email. So
I think I should play it tonight.
You could probably play it and all that.
But so that I remember. You remember how that story came about, how that song came about?
Well, I think they were looking for songs for the album, as far as I can remember, and Desmond sort of put that, And later, I understand you had much more to do with it than I thought. It was a real good melody and everything, so we just arranged it and sort of. You can rehash the story, just for
I'll just quickly. Desmond and I work in the same department, and he told me to try to put an album before Carnival, and he said if you could write a song, I said I could write a song. So I wrote a song like a poem. And he's like, well, where's the melody? I'm like, you're the musician, put the melody to it. He said, no.
Right.
You gotta give us the melody. So I give it the melody. They gave it brought it to, to Spike, and went to the studio and came back with a demo, and I was like, damn,
it
pretty good.
Became something.
Wow.
It became something.
Yeah.
It became something.
Yeah. So let's move on to the foray into Tampa, Florida, and Impulse Band. Russell.
Yo,
Yes, sir.
Donnie, I have a question for this brother.
Sure.
Remember, Full Session played in my yard couple years ago, Labor Day Friday. Were you on that group? Together with Swinging Stars in Queens?
Pikey.
Oh no, I had already left. Actually, I was in Tampa then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like over 10 years ago, not a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, time
Pikey, Cool
flies.
Session played,
Yeah,
I think they played at Curl Festival in Dominica, didn't they?
Yeah, my actually, I was supposed to be playing trombone, but for some reason I didn't make it actually. But
Oh,
they
okay.
did have they did play there.
Cool. All right. So let's give us the story of Impulse, Russell. You know, when did Impulse start? How was it formed?
well, Derek and Ted were here in Florida for quite a few years, playing with different guys. A guy from Antigua, I don't quite Frankie, and then
Rupert Blaise, I think he was one.
eh?
Also
Blaise?
Rupert Blaise as well. You know.
Rupert Blaze, yeah. But then in 1997, like Ted called and Ted told me, look, man, we need to put something together. But I was over in London then.
Oh,
So he said, we really need to get our own band together and, sometimes finding musicians who can. Because the good thing about Dominicans is we can play reggae, we can play soca, we can play zouk, we can play funk, we can play jazz. Just name it. And we are versatile.
Russell, I don't want to interject, but I was about to ask you a little earlier. I wonder from which African king squad the Dominican musicians come from, because they can play pretty much everything without going to schools.
Yeah, I'm
You know,
telling you, it's just
that's
talent.
just to me.
yeah.
Yeah, man, it's amazing because you meet I don't want to call any country in particular, but you meet a country, you meet a certain drummer, he can play reggae and that's all he can play. Or you meet a, soca, that's all he can play. But whereas you'll meet Dominican drummers who will play zouk, you'll meet Dominican keyboard players who, not too long ago, I listened to a band play some soca up in Tampa. And I'm saying these guys are definitely what Caribbean island did they come from, So the one thing about Dominican musicians, we fit in because if you look everywhere, man, Dominican musicians just fit in. They say it's a reggae band, we just fit in there. Soca band, we fit in, So, but in 97, my Ted called me and said, man, we need to get a band together. We have a contract to go up to Maryland for about 4 months. And, if I don't mind coming. So 97, we started as not Impulse.
Brothers
We
in
started
tent. Brothers in tent.
Yes, man, that's how we started, But then while we were at it, we heard there was another band called Brothers in Tent. So we said, hey, after about 2 years, we need to change the name. So actually, in 97, we started as Brothers in Tent up in Maryland. But then a year or two later on, we changed it to Impulse Vibration. And then, so I've been up to Tampa, back and forth. I went up and down for 16 years in a row. Almost every weekend, I was on that road, 30, 40,000 miles every year. But we held it together. We played in, a lot of hotels, Orlando, Daytona Beach, Melbourne, Tallahassee. We were just going from city to city, And we always wanted to keep the cadence music alive. So we blended it with, reggae, soca, because we play for a mixed crowd.
Right,
Even right now, we play a lot of Latin music because
That's right.
what happened, a mixed crowd. So we got to kind of entertain, give everybody a little taste of the band. So we cannot say we are a reggae band or we're a soca band or we're a zouk band, we're a cadence band, because we play a little bit in everything.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of the Impulse groupies. That's what they call me. Wherever, because I love Kalas music, and I love Chubby. Everybody knows that, and Impulse can play a groovers.
Yes, man. Yeah.
Well, before I moved to Tampa, I used to come there very frequently. Come check my uncle Abraham when I lived in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And we would come go to Impulse Band at Skippers, and down at the Whiskey Joe's,
Yeah,
and
positive.
so forth. And the groovers, man, these guys can play some groovers, of course, along with all the other genres, but the way you play the groovers, it just bring back so much memories, So I become a groupie. So
Yes,
wherever
man.
Impulse go, I'm there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, positive. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle, the first time I hear about Impulse was from the man Philippe Laurent. He talked highly about you guys, man. The ex-police from Granby, Philippe Laurent.
Oh
Yeah,
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
yes,
man, he
yes,
talk
yes.
highly. Yeah, he talk highly about Impulse, bro.
yeah,
Yeah, man. We know him. We know him a long time. We almost grew up together. Like in, he from mountain
Mo-
area. We from
yeah,
Right,
south.
right.
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Respect. Enough love to him.
yeah. So Russell, um, I know you live, in down South Miami, and Impulse is based there. So, like you said, that mileage is pretty, is pretty, long. So you don't play with them like every every week, right?
No, well, not like before.
Right.
No,
But
because there
but
was a time. Well, Spiky has really filled in that gap. So and all that driving was beginning to have a toll on me. Was really having a toll, man.
yeah. But Impulse has a steady schedule down in Tampa. Steady.
Yeah,
Saturdays, every Saturday and Sundays, and down at Shepherds,
yeah. On
and
Wednesdays.
their Wednesdays, and of course they play sometimes every month at Skippers and at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Seminole.
of course, you all also play out of state sometimes, like Atlanta Carnival and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the band, we, like as we say, different places, different times. I mean, we're still waiting to go back to Sarasota because we used to be in
Oh,
Sarasota
yes, that's right. Friday.
Friday.
Yes.
Every Friday. We used to be in Venice like every other Friday. So we have been playing all over the place like constantly. That's one thing. And I think one of the main thing that made the band so is because the people always told us, man, most bands sometimes they just call one day and say they're not coming,
Hmm.
or they come 2 hours late. But with us, we always try to be there on time. That's one of the main things that really kept us together. We've always been, we know we have to be there and give the people what they want, and that's what we do. So we built up a repertoire like this, we built up
Yeah.
a clientele like this.
Yeah. So currently, tell us who are the members of Impulse Band, the full
Well,
complement.
we have Ted as the bass programmer, manager. Then we have Derek as the drummer.
Derek Liverpool from Granby.
Derek Liverpool, yeah. Doing on drums and vocals. Then, as you know, Spiky, Leroy Geese on guitar, vocals, anything, keyboards, whatever comes under his fingers, he plays it. And myself, I do a little vocals now and then, and I play some guitar.
Right.
And years ago, before Spikey came, I had to really be there. So I would be coming up to Tampa even on a Wednesday night.
Hmm.
But ever since he came, it's been a big relief with him
Right.
being there because, like, man, I couldn't keep doing that all the time.
Yeah.
So the four of us, if the band needs four of
And
us are there.
also,
But most times,
sometimes you have Derek Fabian filling for you guys, right?
Derek, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Derek from Brother D from
From
Sarasota area.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because on Saturday he played with us. So now and then, yeah, we have. And now and then I go up. I don't really come up like before.
Yeah.
Since after COVID, things have changed. The
Yeah.
way things worked before. It's changed quite a bit. So I'm all right with. Oh, now and then I'm all right with that.
Cool. 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 All right. So Spiky. Oh well, I think I should ask you first. Has Impulse produced any albums?
Yeah, we have 4 albums. We have 4 CDs we put out. I just heard you playing some of it earlier on. And we've been mainly done sales ourselves.
Hmm.
We've had a couple little outlets, but we've mainly done sales ourselves.
Right.
We have another album we have another 2 or 3 album in the works, but there's a little legal stuff going on that needs to be sorted out before we can bring that out. Because as I say, music is not just about playing entertainment. music is about business. And if you sometimes invest in a business, you gotta be careful how you invest in the music, you know?
Right, right, right. So, Spiky, and as we said earlier, you played a variety of genres. I know you play a lot of Spanish music, salsa, merengue, reggae, soca, cadas. You know, um, did you all identify the need for a variety based on the demographic and culture of Tampa?
Well, yeah, basically, we don't want to get into much history here, but as you know, Florida is closest to the Caribbean, and Florida was discovered by Ponce de Leon for Spain in 1525. Florida was originally Spanish, so the Spanish folks here is naturally Boer City and all Spanish, but the first ones to colonize Florida. So a lot of Spanish people gravitated towards Florida, plus the folks who were here, through the discovery. So in Sarasota, we have a big, large Spanish following in Tampa as well. A lot of Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, and then you have the South Americans, Latin American folks. So that is what initially drove the need to start playing, because there really isn't any permanent Spanish bands resident in this area.
Mm-hmm.
So the people, and one thing with the Spanish folks, they really keep up to date and au courant with their music, They know every song we sing, they know the words word for word, because they keep up to date with their culture. They don't really let their culture slide. So the Dominicans know all the bachatas, and they know the merengue, la maquina, and the Louis Fonsees from Puerto Rico, and the people. Even we do some Colombian stuff, and the people know the words and all that. Yeah, the Guantanameras from Cuba, the Cubans. So that's what drove the need to make it necessary to play all this Latin stuff. Basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been very impressed with the vocalists, you and Derek, singing these Spanish songs, and I'm wondering how these guys learn this music, these lyrics, and sometimes I feel that you are Spanish. How difficult it is to learn the songs and the whole diction of it.
Well, Russell, again, we were in grammar school together, and there was a little guy. Well, at the time, there's a guy from Point Michelle named Orlando Richards. He's the one who taught Spanish at that time. And then later on, there was a guy, and there was a Gregoire guy from Granby again. They taught Spanish. Oh, so yeah. Spanish was easier to learn than French. French, you have all this, the accent is a little more challenging. And you have to put your mouth a certain way, and you have to, ma is not meant, and meant is not pronounced meant, is pronounced ma. So Spanish is pronounced as it is written.
Right.
Mesa, M-E-S-A, mesa. So everybody figure, well, it's easier to learn Spanish than French. So we did some Spanish. And so we used to listen to Spanish songs and mimic and mock them, so to speak. So it became kind of natural, and roll your tongue, and so on. So, it became
you all do a fantastic job of that. I was very impressed with the way you all sing Spanish music, and sometimes I was wondering, weren't you just saying anything? But when I see the Spanish people singing along with you, then I knew that you all were actually singing the song.
Well, nowadays you can get all the words, and necessity is the mother of invention. So by necessity, we had to do it and do it well, because if you sing the wrong words, the people will know you're saying the wrong words. So
right, exactly.
Yeah. They will see they'll see your mouth doing the wrong thing, so they'll know.
Yeah. So tell me how supportive has the fan base in Tampa been to Impulse?
Well, very, very supportive. I mean, in Sarasota, the people will come every Friday because they know they're going to get some merengue, some salsa, some bachata, even some cumbia from Colombia. So it's kind of almost. I don't want to use too many big words, but it's kind of almost religiously. People come out every Friday or wherever we might be playing. If it's close enough, they find themselves there because they know they're going to hear something native to their culture and so on. So that really drives a consistent and dedicated following. They really do come out.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time it is 1 minute past 9 o'clock. It's been an hour. We're gonna take a short break. We're speaking to Spiky, Leroy Spiky Geist, and Russell Henderson of the Impulse Band. We go until 10 o'clock tonight. Very interesting conversation, and I see the fans are really enjoying it. So we're taking a short break. We're gonna play a little bit of Impulse, and we'll be right back in about 2 or 3 minutes. So stay tight. We'll be right back.
Ghana c'est musique à nous, faut pas nous laisser tomber. C'est musique bon Dieu pas nous, en son qui traditionnel. C'est pour te qui hors d'Afrique, pour nous continuer jouer. Oh là yo yeah, dis-moi ça yo qu'a fait. Pas quitter cadence tomber, cadence qui vient d'où, pas laisser. Oh, cadence c'est musique à nous, nous aimer.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, I.
That was Impulse. One called Olayo Ye.
That was the early album, man. Early,
yeah.
early album, you know?
Yeah, I think that was sung by Derek Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Derek, and I can hear Spike's voice in the backing ups as well, you know?
Yeah. I'm trying to connect my phone to Bluetooth so I could get to Ted. Still working on it. I was trying to do it on the break, but I couldn't hear.
You couldn't
But,
get through. Yeah.
hopefully we can hook up with Ted. I'd love to hear from him.
Yeah, man, it would be nice to hear his voice, you know?
Yeah. Yep, so we waiting Spikey to, I think he probably went to get a drink.
Yeah. He got to wet his throat, you know, he has to wet his throat,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. DJ Kojak, you have any questions, feel free to ask the brothers.
But I wanted to ask Spike, because you say his last name is Gist, right?
Oh, yes.
Because you have to remember we have related to the Gist. Remember, I think his name was Fixtroy Gist, was a musician too from Goodwill.
Fixtroy Gist? Yes, Fixtroy Gist.
Yeah, related to him because that's our cousin,
Yeah.
By our mother's side. Just related to him.
So
But you guys play some good music, man. Love the music. And I think you're the closest band to play chubby music too, because I know there's nobody can really, duplicate that kind of a music. And I think I heard some. Well, again, Phillips had sent me some live video from you guys, and you guys playing some groovers, and I think you guys is the closest thing, man, to playing groovers music.
Well, yeah, because what happened, I mean, from childhood, that we hear that every day when the man in the band house practicing, when the man down at cave, when the man playing at the, Easy Door Festival, it's like, you grew up hearing that vibration. So it comes almost like naturally, you get seasoned in it. So, and we always try to play like as close as possible. That's one of the things. You want to make the song right. You don't just want to jam for jamming its sake. You really will get into it,
Yeah.
And you made a point too that I wasn't even saying that about the bands, man, but for the DJs I know, I always tell guys, Dominicans are the most versatile DJs they ever heard, man. We play and sing everything, you know what I'm saying? From Cotton T to Miguel to you guys. It's just like, and nobody plays that kind of a genre of music like DA people, man. And I always say that, and you just confirm that tonight there,
Yeah, man. True. Yeah, because a lot of places I've gone, I met Dominican musicians and in the weirdest of places, man, and man, them just fit in, man, guys in England, I would go certain places and they'll tell me, boy, this guy from DA, and man, you would never know. The guy sounds like he's been in it all his life,
Yeah.
So we in Dominica, there is something about us. I have to say that we have been versatile and we take it, to another level,
And it's unnatural too, because we didn't have no, like, I remember a young boy growing up in Dominica. Christian was the only music school I knew, and a lot of us at the age couldn't afford Christian music school, you know what I'm saying? So that was just natural. It's just a natural thing.
True.
Well,
Well, it is very enlightening. When you speak, you're a musician, and you can highlight and point out that Dominican musicians are very versatile. And it's very enlightening because I know we see a lot of bands, a lot of other people from other countries, And like you say, they can play reggae, they cannot play soca. You know, they can
Yeah,
play one genre, they can't play the other. You know,
yeah,
and so yeah, that really made me, open my eyes and like, yeah, that's really true because Dominican musicians can play everything,
yeah,
everything.
yeah, man. You like couple of these big reggae artists. They have DA drummers with them.
Yeah,
DA
yes,
drummers.
that's right.
When
You
you think,
remember culture.
yes, I
In
had the
Dominica, he had Dean Pond.
Dean, yeah,
Yeah, he was
playing
culture
drums.
drummer. Yes.
You would never tell, man. I hear the when I heard the you, I went to a concert down the road and then they tell me, yeah, this guy's from DA, man. I said, what? But you look, and I look at like drummers I've played with, like like Toe up in England, man. This guy could just name it, just give him the genre. Compa, this man was tough, man. It's like DA musicians just have something about us that we just fit in.
You remember
Because
Professor Oils?
yes, that
That guy
from
was
That
something else, boy.
yeah,
Yeah,
man.
and don't talk about Henry Bellot. I mean,
Oh man, I always remember this brother, and I have to say we had a love between us. We always used to sit down and talk about music, and I don't even hear this man name mentioned when I know this man has done great things, man. This man
yeah,
was a. I remember once Ignition come home to play in Grand Bay, man, and Groovers had to play, and the drummer tell me, boy, you know something, man, this man does pong my drums so much, man. I cared for the drums, I tell you, don't worry, man, it's only drum skin, man. Because let me tell you, Henry takes off his shirt
yes,
and
sir.
he has his little bath towel on his shoulders, man,
Yes,
and
sir.
let's go, man. And that drum rings a bell, man.
Yes, sir.
Uh, I haven't seen another drummer like Henry,
Me either.
honestly. The energy, man, that he played with was just remarkable.
Tony, he and Kuko was best of friends because they work by Nassif together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Spike is back with us.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So let's continue the conversation. We're talking about Impulse, Russell Henderson, and Spike Lee Regis. So Russell, tell me what plans does Impulse have for the future? Any plans that we should know about?
Yeah, well, the thing about it is, we just keep entertaining the people. We have a couple albums we'd like to put out. We have made a couple attempts to go to Dominica and take part in certain activities. It hasn't really worked out the way we wanted to. I think eventually, we're gonna have to do something different, not wait on an organization to really bring us home.
Right.
We might have to work out something we ourselves kind of get involved, invest in, because the thing about it is, okay, we know right now the swing is bouillon. The whole swing in here is bouillon. And we are, I wouldn't say old school, but we are mainly cadence players. We love the bouillon. We listen to some of the bouillon, but our natural vibration is cadence, and we want to keep the cadence alive. So, anything cadence related, we would love to take part in DA, That's one of our main goals, to be able to come home and at least make a mark on the cadence side of things. It's going to be hard because music changes. Through the years, there was a time it was ska. Then ska disappeared. Then it was spooge. Then it was. So right now, but we have to keep the cadence alive because that is our origin, So
right.
hopefully that's what our goal is, to keep the cadence alive,
I'm
Yeah.
surprisingly you saying that because yesterday, Walkers and myself was having a conversation. I know even Walkers, original boy from WCK.
Okay.
Saying straight, man, it's true the bouillon thing, but we don't have nobody really playing Kadas, or enough people really, trying to, because he check in as we had Chubby on the show too, and he's saying it look like it's like on a decline because, some of the kids can't even speak, Creole, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's sad, man, but you
Well,
guys doing a good job by keeping it alive,
yeah. Well, I like I said on the previous program, and I
Go
think
ahead.
what you're doing is very, very important. Like you said, Russell, music is gonna evolve, right? That's
Yeah,
that's
man.
life. That's life, right? but I think we have an obligation to preserve and to maintain the integrity of Kara's music. You know,
Definitely,
because
definitely.
to me, this music is golden. It's golden, right? And when people say that music, some music will die. Music will die if you allow it to die.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
definitely.
If you allow it to die, and I think we must preserve Kara's music. We must. It's very important that we must honor our living legends. You know, and I don't think enough is being done to honor the legacy of people like Chubby and Co. and these guys, because when these guys are gone, we'll hear all kind of fancy speeches and all kind of ceremonies to honor them. But I think now is the time that we ought to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Not when they say give the flowers when the person is alive, man.
Right,
You know?
right. But let me go to Spiky. Spiky, tell me, give me your opinion. I mean, you've been in this thing for a very long time. Give me your opinion on how the music has evolved throughout the years. Right now, is booyah music is the hot in thing. So give me your opinion on how music has evolved, and tell me what is your opinion on the booyah music.
Well, traditionally in Dominica, we're not a very archival people. We have never been very archival. Meaning, if you walk around Dominica, you wouldn't find many monuments to Dominican achievement over the years. You can't point to too many to be. Well, Mr. Rawls statue at the Goodwill Junction by Lionel Pinadan. So that's something that was put up there years ago by an older generation. But if you walk through much of Dominica, you wouldn't find anything depicting or anything to memorialize those who have gone before.
Right.
So, for example, if you look around, you wouldn't find one video of Exile One, and Exile One is like 51 years old this year. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't find anything of Grand Max, like a video you could go back and look at. So we're not quite an archival people.
Right.
Things come and they go. For example, the Gardens was supposed to it was put there by the Gardens as a monument to botany. Dominica was a very agricultural place, and that has nothing to do with music. But it shows you the attitude, the evolutionary attitude of the culture.
Right.
So we do not necessarily have that tendency to archive and preserve too much, and whatever is there, if you leave it to the current generation, they'll probably pretty much, I don't want to use a bad term, trample on it pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So until we develop that, if we can cultivate a little more archival attitude. For example, by the time I got to Tampa, Florida, I had decided to sort of just retire from music. I'd already done 20 years. So by the time I moved to Tampa, I had no instrument. I was coming here with family and work and all of that. And so I had one keyboard that I was trying to play with no band. But I got an amp from Russell. An amp he used to have, I still have the amp here. And it's kind of a monument to starting again. That, you laugh. But you remember the old Fender?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
The PV, the old box PV.
The PV, yeah. The PV, man.
So it's still there. It still works. It's just an idea of, memorializing, things that, have been with you for a while, something you can remember, and so on. Yeah. So going back to the music, if, for example, there was some sort of like a physical structure in Dominica, it could, it has to it would be nice if it was a private idea. A little building, everything starts small. A little building where you have some albums on the wall, Exile 1973, 75, FISM, Aki Aka, a little thing you could play. Oh, that's Exile 1, Aki Aka 1973. Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. And so on. And you have one for Grandma. I was in the same building because, things take more money. We don't have plenty of money. So, you walk in there. It's kind of nicely kept. Somebody at the front desk, pay $5, go inside. Yeah,
man. Yeah,
whoever, like, what was the guy? Roy Alton and so on. I'm going home. So, that was Dominican,
Yeah.
That would kind of help. Well, the booyah is here today, and which is a good thing. It has its place. It's a nice carnival music and so on. and I hope it's still wrong, but like anything else, it's transitioning. So it would be nice if people from a generation past could build a certain foundation that people could follow. So if the Kadas, a monument is erected to the Kadas, one will probably be eventually, erected to the Bouillon. So at least from this generation going forward, people can realize the value of archiving things. So by 2040, some musician whose mother isn't yet born, he might be 18 by 2060, and he might say, oh, so this was Midnight Groovers. Okay. He might be from Grand Bay. But by 2017, nobody might remember Midnight Groovers. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
I hope going forward.
Wadix and them had tried a thing in the Wadix and Broim. They had a billboard of the legends, but the people vandalized it. So I think they took it down, and right now they're looking for a spot. In Dominica, they could put it up as a monument of all the Kadas Lips
legends.
Yeah, man. Jeff, Joe.
Well, that's a little. Yeah, that's a little temporary. What would be nice is a little building, a little place, a structure that can last 30 years.
Like a museum.
Well, that's a nice name for it. Right. But, somewhere you could go and get, because you could go and get old albums. If Matt Jones have an old album on the Holy Mother bed or somewhere, some guys that used to be around, take it, pay them for it, and say, we want to do something, for the future with that album. How much you want for that old album of Gramax when Jeff, and so on, put it there. Get one of Groover's, the Coco Sec album. That's a nice little picture of Moise and all the guys young, and that's out of which the Coco Sec came. Some guy been listening to Coco Sec in 2060. Coco Sec, what was that? But look, the album, those were the guys. My son was his grandmother. Oh, I see, that was my grandfather, cousin, and so on. That's how those things are archived. That would be kind of nice, And so the same for the Bouillon might happen in 2068 if we start now. You know what I mean? So that's probably an idea,
Yeah.
Because things come and things go. Things come and things go. Nobody remembers Roy Alton to say Starrett Francois, But I mean, Dreams of Africa. If you ask a kid about Dreams of Africa,
was the guy who was the Gaylord's front man?
Gregory Breaker, Banis.
All those guys.
Greg Breaker. But he was a Calypsonian in 67, one road match and all of that. But I mean, I have the Gaylord's album right there, and so on. Astor Hotel and so on. In 2062, Lionel Pinat car, and they did the back of the car and so on and so on. Those things kind of really. Astor Hotel right there by TBS Radio was, but those things are no longer there. But I mean, it would be nice if people knew there was a hotel there. There's a Gaylord took a picture there, and if you go back to Swinging Stars album 1967, it would be nice to have that on the wall. Splashdown and Norman Later. It's kind of would be nice. But
yeah, man.
So going forward, you'd have a picture of Ra in 2070. You might have a picture of Ra, Cornell, Walkers. Well, Walkers played with us. We used to have a band, Earth, back in 1979. We went to Guadeloupe and recorded Tony Valmont and all these, Walkers been around for a while and so on. All that would be kind of nice. Just have a whole place with a lot of pictures of musicians, all these bands that used to be the Silver Tones, and they go on and on. But that would be an idea. If we can sort of archive those things for the future, that would be sort of nice.
Yeah, man. Pay tribute to our great musicians, man. Yeah.
What I think,
Chubby for one, man.
What I also think, this should be part of our school curriculum, history curriculum, because remember going to grammar school, there are a lot of Caribbean figures who, were part of our history. We had to study these things, great writers and politicians and
Derek Walcott and all them kind of guys.
Exactly. And Mighty Sparrow, who is a musician, not a Dominican, So I think our local Dominicans should also be part of the curriculum, right? That our school children can study these things and have an appreciation for it.
Yeah, definitely.
If we can find another Lennox and another Alvin Bully, we have to create some. Well, if people had that interest, we can have another Lennox, we can have another Alvin. These are the people who, another, Shandol Free and Miss Napier and people like that, who had that interest. And we have to cultivate it in young children, because they have the tools nowadays. They have all these interesting cameras that can take pictures. You have Photoshop, and we can do a lot of things. But I mean, without the interest, the tools are kind of underused pretty much. So it'd be nice if we can. It's nice to say the things, but take some action would be kind of,
Yeah,
because of course we have plans, on our mind to sort of archive We got material that we can use. If we're not right there in Dominica, maybe eventually we can have a little foundation or something like that, contribute some money and say, well, we planning to do this in conjunction with some private folks in Dominica to do a little building. Here is some seed money. We can locate a building, clean it up, and so on. You know, and the mechanics that will go along with it. That's how you really begin. So maybe in a few years, Impulse can, contribute a few $1,000s to the cause if there's anybody with a genuine interest, sort of reliable and sort of accountable. That's an idea.
That's
keep the memory alive.
That's very deep.
So that would help, especially somebody like Chubby, because he's one of the only people who actually stayed in Dominica. And that is monumental. Everybody, migrated, but he stayed, and that's monumental. And he paid whatever cost, whatever it cost to stay in Dominica and become what he became. He paid it. And so these are the people who should be at the top of the list.
Yeah, and he's still performing.
It's amazing you say that, because Donnie and myself always having that conversation, because that man need to be recognized. A street or something should be named after that man before he go. He's supposed to cut a ribbon and name something. His name, not when he died, you go give him his flowers. You're supposed to make Chubby sign a street, something named after Chubby, because that man, they will never see another Chubby, bro.
Well, again, it's our archival attitude. We have that attitude of not, again, with the prophet is not without honor, but in his own land, that kind of, we have to, sort of see a different light and appreciate, which is a kind of historic thing, people, the prophet, people generally do not recognize to the, I suppose, with the proper degree, those among you who have, because again, we're a simple society. Chubby's a simple guy, and I suppose, the little things that go with simplicity as opposed to complexity and so on. And I don't know if we still have these old, the old syndromes from, way back. It's probably still seeping through the vein, the country bookie thingy and those. I don't know how to say it, but.
You have to say it like it is, my brother. You have to say it like it is. Real talk.
Well, I don't want to offend anyone.
You don't offend him. The truth.
You speak freely, your vibes
but
in.
I'm saying,
listen, you're a man with a wealth of experience and knowledge. And,
well, I mean, we've seen a lot of things. We've traveled extensively, and one learned from the other. How civilization went. It was the Egyptian, Assyrian, Media, Persia, Greek, and the Romans. Now they come down through the ages. America, but all that is a continuation of those who came before, and so forth and so forth.
Yeah.
So all that would be kind of nice to keep the spirit alive. And this, it doesn't have anything to do with size. It's the mind. If we get developed that mindset, we could go and see the guitar Chubby, play the, the Coco Sex solo and the guitar would be in a case on the wall. Oh, that's the guitar I used. What kind of guitar was that? It was a 1961 Fender Jazzmaster. Who cares about a 1961 Fender Jazzmaster? But little things like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, sir. That is
But, all that would.
Very good. How you call it? Advice from the man Spiky. No, Russell,
insight into.
Let me go back to you. You mentioned hopefully you would like Impulse to go back home, because I know you have a very strong attachment to home, Grand Bay, South City.
Yes,
and
man.
it would be very nice to see Impulse perform, even like on an Easy Door in Grand Bay, maybe hopefully a Krell Festival,
Yeah.
Yeah. So how important do you think this is to you, and are you taking any tangible steps to making that become a reality?
Well, I must say we did make a couple of attempts. I remember talking to the village council back home. A couple of times I went home. Even before Ed died, we spoke. We tried to organize something, but sometimes you need like, I don't mind come home and help with the promotion and help with the. Sometimes you need a hand that in both pots, because what happens is when we just talk on the phone, we'll do this, we'll do this, sometimes man don't know what it takes, because we coming from out here, coming home, we cannot expect to just meet everything organized. It should be, but at least if let's say one of us can go home and push the vibes, especially like Isidore time. I mean, it would be an honor, man, to come home and play some real, from compa to cadence to, just be part of the Isidore. But I mean, it's just getting in touch with the organization so we can do fresh talks. I spoke to Willie years ago, but then things didn't really come. Right now, I head a village council is run by a different set of people, So it would be something where I would have to kind of get in touch with the people presently and see what we can do from there,
Right.
Because it would be nice, man. I think I grew up in Isidore, man, and to me that the times we used to have festival up in Center, man, 3
Yes.
days from Thursday night to Monday night is Isidore up in what, man, those days were golden days, man.
Harlem, we call them Harlem.
Harlem, man, Harlem, Cave, man, yeah.
Yes.
Those were the days, man. Listening to these bands. We used to always have guys from, bands from Roseau, from Marigot playing, but it's like when Groovers came on, man, it was like, wow, the place was rocking and shaking.
Yes, sir.
So, it would be good to bring back some of those times. I mean, I give props to the people who are at home still doing their thing. Bringing in, like I hear that wet fete is a big thing back home.
Breakfast fete.
Breakfast fete,
It's
so yeah, man, so nothing's are happening, but it would still be nice to have the cadence music also on that level,
Right. So, well, I agree with you fully, and as Spiky said so articulately a while ago, different generation, different interest, different times, right?
Yeah.
But there are still, I think, enough of the older generation, not necessarily old, like people like me and you and Spiky and Kojak, right? Who have a deep appreciation of our culture, what obtained before, right? What we grew up on, it brought us so much joy, and we know how much it meant and it still means today,
Yeah.
So I think there's still the opportunity to do that, things like that, right? We got to organize ourselves, mobilize, fundraise. We know out there in the U.S. it's very well busy, man.
Yeah.
But I think we still have the opportunity and able to.
Yeah, man.
To do these things.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're right. We gonna need the contacts back home to work with us, closely.
Yeah.
And because I would like to see, a roadside jam or not a roadside jam necessarily, but a Kadas jam, a Kadas festival.
Yes, man. Yes, man.
Isidore.
Yes. That would be fantastic, man.
Lovely.
That would be fantastic. Because Perez, I don't know if you know Perez.
Of course.
Yeah, and Perry and I all now and then we talk and we say, man, we really need to bring some more, because Black Machine back in the days, man, was like, wow, man, right there in South, the man used to have roadside jam, and that used to, the ghetto used to be so packed, man, when and now and then, it would be nice to bring some of that vibes back home, man. It would be good.
Bring back the milk and honey.
Yes.
Bring back the milk and honey.
Sir.
In bush and bush
Yeah, the milk and honey is sweet, and Chubby tell me the music was sweet. This was sweet music, sweet good old days.
Yes, man. Yeah. We can't let those things just go like that, and we're still willing, I mean, as you said repeated a while ago, we need to get in touch with organization back home. But a lot of it might have to come from our end, the organizing, the to be, for things to be on point, we have to have a big hand in the organization, getting everything, get the place nice, get the instruments we need. And because last time we went home, the instruments that they got wasn't, up to par,
Right.
So, this time we'd like things on the, hey, time is time. Last time we started 10, 11 o'clock. No. As you know, Impulse is a band as well. That time, man, time keeping, man. Because
Yeah.
right now, when you play up here and the people tell you the wedding starts at 7, you don't get there for 8 o'clock, 8:30, man. You have to be there at 6 o'clock set up when the wedding starts. The
Bang on
people say
time.
they're ready for music. We're ready right away.
Right.
And the same thing, we have to put a business attitude towards music. It's not just jamming, business.
Right.
So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I would ask both of you, what has been the Dominican, Dominican, our Dominica, support for Impulse be like, not just in Tampa, but in the U.S., different cities and towns you play?
well, I must admit, in Atlanta, they've gotten the band. I haven't been to Atlanta in a little while with the band because they went there for the carnival, a couple of times. And the response, it was great. But a lot of the gigs we tend to do as well, and that's the thing, as Pikey says, sometimes you are not a hero among your own people. I mean, we find ourselves playing for a lot of foreign organizations, and we get we get so much respect from these foreign organizations.
Mhm.
It would be really nice to get that same respect from our own people. But they say a hero is never a hero in his own yard. Sometimes he go out and fire a few bullets other places.
Mhm.
But so far, the Dominicans I know around, I mean, we had a gig down here in Miami a couple of years ago, and the vibes was really good, man. The people who came up, especially when we dropped some casa, dropped some groovers, the vibes was really good.
Yeah.
So the support is there. It's just sometimes it's the timing. It's certain things that just need to fall in place, and
Yeah.
once they can, the band can move forward.
Yeah. I went to Atlanta Carnival not last year, the year before, when Impulse played there. I think they played last year too, but I didn't go.
Yeah.
But the year before, I think it was organized by people like Alvin Thomas and those guys, and it was a really nice event, well attended, and everybody enjoyed it. Like you said, people will appreciate the Chubby and the WCK and the Kassav. It was very, very nice. Mikey was there.
Yeah, man. Spikey was there.
Yeah.
I wasn't there, so Spikey
Right.
can give you the rundown.
Yeah. So Spikey, yeah, the same question goes out to you. What do you think of the Dominican support for Impulse in the U.S.?
Well, the fact of the matter is, anywhere we go and there are Dominicans, we're well received. We don't go to a whole bunch of places with a lot of Dominic. We play in Tampa. We've been to Atlanta. We've been down to Miami. Now, there are a lot of West Indian Dominican carnivals taking place in other places, but we don't know the people like in Texas. We've been to Texas once, but it was for a world thing. It wasn't naturally a Dominican thing. There were Dominicans there, but it was more like African Caribbean thing. And anywhere we go, because of the music we play, so we are a more mature kind of a group. So our patronage is more along a certain demographic, age demographic. So because cadence is something that came up in our time, most of the music we play, it will be well received by all Dominicans. Well, as you know, the younger people who were born after 1990, whatever gen you want to call them, they know Bouyon. You understand what I'm saying? So they naturally gravitate towards Bouyon. But apparently there are a lot of young people, but there are more mature people living outside than younger people who are familiar with the genre that we play more often. We do, we play one or two Bouyon songs. But wherever we go, the audiences do appreciate what we do. It brings back the memory because we play the songs they grew up with and they know. So here in Tampa, we have a growing Dominican population, a representation of Dominican people. Down south, Miami have quite a even greater percentage. Atlanta has quite a, so wherever we go, we get well appreciated. I'm sure if we played in Dominica, we would get, a phenomenal reception. It's just that we've never played there at any particular sort of, extensive venue. We've never really, we try to get on the Creole thing, but, I don't want to get into it. It's kind of, and most of the other kind of things. It's not. It's easier to, well, it's okay. So it has to do, they say, with popularity and all that and so forth.
Mhm.
So it's everything is commerce. You know what I mean? Everything is commerce.
Yeah.
So it's commerce. So people kind of, but if we do go there, we can sell ourselves. You see what I'm saying? In other words, everywhere we go, we will go back. Everywhere we've been, they always want us back.
Right.
So our product speaks for itself, even if it's not on the shelf, on the high shelf. When anybody who tastes it will want more, kind of, if you see what I'm trying to say.
Like they say, first impression,
Basically,
the lasting one, right?
Yeah.
right. So everywhere we go, we do go back. We've been to Lantana, we've been, and they want us to come back because, from what it's the response.
They want.
Well, the response seemed to say that most, pretty much everywhere, the people are satisfied with what we deliver.
Right.
So wherever we play, I think people would appreciate what we do. So that's basically the nature of the reception we get from the Dominican audiences wherever we.
Yeah. Have you been to Canada?
Yeah, we've been to Canada. We've been to New York. Yeah.
Okay.
We did the traditional Labor Day thing, Caribana. We did the boat ride on the Stella Borealis and all of that, and the farm, George Carrington. We did all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we did all that stuff.
Kojak said, when you played in New York and in Queens in the backyard by Carrot, that's Kojak's home.
No, we didn't.
Backyard.
We didn't play there. We didn't play there. We played at a hall.
Cool session. That's Cool Session. Sorry.
Yeah, that was Cool Session.
Yeah.
We played at a hall someplace.
That's DJ Kojak. That's DJ Kojak's thing.
Okay, and we did something with some female singers from Dominica.
Yeah, Mikel.
Right, Ophelia, Jolly, and Janet Azuz and things like that. We did something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, it was Queens of Cadence. Yeah, I think they.
Right, Queens of Cadence. That's
Queens of Cadence.
Yeah, that was in New York.
I mean, we hold our own wherever we go. We hold our own. I mean, you can. I mean, I do not want to blow Impulse's trumpet. But if you heard Exile One and Gramax back in the day, which most of the young people never did, we kind of remind you very authentically of what it would have sounded like.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Like I can attest to that, huh?
Yeah,
that would resonate with.
I was just telling the brother, man, when you walk away, you guys are the closest thing to Groovers, man. Nobody could ever play Groovers music like you guys. You guys are the closest thing to Groovers, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
We grew up listening to that. Okay, so Groovers music would be like our homework.
Right.
Like we did that we've been listening to that for 40 years. It's in our blood. I mean, I used to play in the band. We used to play the whole album. The whole album. I mean, we were young, and so it's in Russell's blood, just like in mine, and Ted and Derek.
But that's also testament to your musical prowess. Even if you listen to music and you can't play it, you can't play it. So that speaks to your musical prowess and your ability, your skill as musicians to play this music, this song so authentic. So I think
each of us together.
Yeah,
each of us been playing over 40 years. So I mean, 4 3s are 12. I mean, not that it mean anything, but 120 years worth of collective experience should mean a little something, Like,
yes.
My brother, let me ask you. Your last name is Geese, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, your family have a guy named Fitzroy Geese from Goodwill. Well, is that?
Yeah, they're all my cousins. Clayton was my cousin. All these guys were my cousin. Ronnie Geese from Wheaties and all these guys.
Man.
Was Pikey
so
your cousin?
your family to Donnie and myself, because
you're cousins. So,
you're cousins, yeah.
Let me let you know. DJ Kojak and myself are first cousins. With 2 sisters' children.
Yeah.
And the Geese family are our cousins. Fitzroy Geese and the Geese in Goodwill are our cousins on our mother's side.
Well, it was 2 brothers from France, who came to Dominica, and they spread the Délices, Petit Savant, and the rest is.
So Spikey, I knew there was something about you. I knew it.
Because my mom was servant, used to work for the Geese, although she was family them, she was their servant, man. Yeah, as I know, Fitzroy.
Yeah.
Well, the thing
Awesome.
about it is, the sad thing about the Hendersons, anywhere you meet them, there's music somewhere around them. And
True.
it begs the question, which King's Court did these folks come from? I mean, every Henderson you meet everywhere, they play in music. Tell me one who doesn't play. If they don't play because they don't want to,
Gordon
Yeah.
Henderson,
you meet a geese somewhere, the
Alfred
same kind of thing.
Henderson,
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Jose,
it'll take you forever to
Ted, Russell,
Gordon, Mikel,
Mikel
and you know,
Henderson.
those.
Wow, you're
They're
right.
so-
Yeah, man. We had Avril
So
Henderson.
Bingo,
Albert
Bingo is also
Henderson,
Henderson, Anthony
Jose.
Henderson, Lord Bingo, and so on.
Yeah, man. We just name it, and it's like right across the board, man. The whole family, one way or another, is involved. You know, the Hendersons just been involved. Even Lambert Henderson was,
Mhm.
you know,
Right.
writing songs, playing guitar.
Genitwa
You know,
Corral.
yes, man. It's just been. It's
So when
like
you put,
something
so when
that
you
just
put these
in the
guys
blood.
together, you know,
Well, it runs in the blood. It's in the DNA.
Yes, man.
it's like
Yes,
the
man.
race horses. It's in the blood, like the race horses. The pedigree is music in the pedigree, you know,
Yes.
kind of like.
Yeah, man. Give thanks.
That
Give
kind of-
thanks. You know.
Yeah.
Yes. So when you
Um,
put these kind of families together, you get a good product. You put Henderson and Geese together and so on, you get a good product. It's just, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Russell,
man.
you
Russell,
have
what is the status on the Sarasota? I know that there was some damage to the area after the hurricane.
Well,
That's a
yeah,
very
I
popular
think.
spot.
Yeah, it is. You know, it is. I think there was a little like they had quite an extensive level of damage. You know, and it took them quite a while to get it back. I think they're slowly coming back together. Hopefully, well, the band always, you know, we always get their call as soon as, you know, they really back and running. But some organizations are slower than others, like Shepherds know well they so they got their stuff in a month or two, you know.
Yeah.
But something about Sarasota, it's taking a little longer. I don't know if it's the payment or the insurance or whatever. But as soon as they have the place open, because that was a place where every Friday, man, you
That's
know,
that's
the
a
band
nice
was down there.
nice jam. That's a nice
Yeah,
jam.
man, that
And
venue.
also, apart from the the large Spanish contingent who they get into it, man. They jam in. Also, they only have a lot of Haitians who love the compa and the caras.
Yes, man. So
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, it's always a great jam down there. Always a
Yes.
great jam down there, man. You know, so I'm hoping that
O'Leary's.
we can pick back up and
O'Leary's, yeah.
yeah. So Spike, what have you heard from? You heard anything from the people down that way?
If anything, probably about July, if anything, you know, that's what I kind of heard. So maybe around middle of the year, summer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because we've met tremendous amounts of Dominicans down there. Anybody visiting this area would always come to O'Leary's. I mean, it's a Dominican people. You're almost there, your sister's there, you know.
Yeah, man.
So,
Yeah,
you know,
that
everybody
something
comes to
about that
O'Leary.
spot. Something about that spot, man. It's just it's just good, man. But
Yeah.
People look
hopefully we
forward
get
to it.
it
It's
back
like,
again.
you know, it's hopefully.
So I got a question. As long serving musicians, who heavily promote and continue to preserve the all the culture, caras, compa, you know. And right now the trend, like we say, is bouillon. We don't see many young people taking up or taking the baton of this older music, this golden music, I call it golden era. What do you think about it? How is that, you think is a disappointing thing? And you think, what is the reason for this? Are they not
Well,
enlightened enough?
if
Go
I
ahead,
may, if
Spike.
I may lend an idea to the thought, as you notice, if you notice, the world, everything is getting easier. So it's a function of ease.
Mm,
Well, in the olden days when we grew up, I mean, you could hardly afford an instrument to play.
right.
Like, for example, Henry and the Saint Swinging Busters, they wanted to have a keyboard player, but the keyboard player never got a keyboard, and so Most of the time, they never had a keyboard. Who could afford a keyboard back?
Right.
I mean, most groups. So musical amenities were scarce, few and far between. You had very little aids like YouTube. So you would hear something, you have to practice very hard. And the music was more complex because Caribbean music was based off of the American jazz and all of that stuff. That's what you used to hear. It was very involved. Maybe most of the guys went to the little schools around the United States, and the music, even the popular music coming out of the United States and other places that we heard it from was a little more involved and complex. And there were no schools, so you had to work much harder. What chord was that? What did the bass play? And so you spend maybe a day or two trying to just get the chords. I for Jesus, you for Jesus, all for Jesus, come to Jesus. Every word was a different chord. You understand what I'm saying? That made you into a searcher, somebody who developed a strong ear. What chord was that? That wasn't, and everything was more complex. Now you're living in a world of ease, 2 chords, and so on. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying most of it is a function of ease. And then technology as well.
Right.
You can just get your keyboard, it will play the accompaniment for you, and you play your one finger thing as an example. It will play the chords and you just do a little thing, and you nowadays there are really very little there are little chord movements. It's just one chord and you chant, and then you can make 20,000 songs on that one chord and that one chant. You see what I'm saying? Nothing wrong with that, but it's a function of ease and technological relaxation, because you don't have to play all those things. The keyboard can play it for you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, it happened with my own children, brought a nice keyboard for my daughter. But when it comes to playing the left and the right hand, keyboard is an unforgiving instrument. And people give up very quickly. It takes, but in the olden days, all you had was the piano. Yeah. And little girls stayed at home and played the piano, like me at home in Margaret. You had to play the piano on Nurse Ruth. When she stopped, I mean, I'm just giving you an example of why it's
I get
easy.
it. I get you clearly. I get you. Believe me.
So that is one of the reasons why, or the main reason why, it's gotten much less complex than everything is easy.
Yeah, and another thing to add to that point is today I observe apart from the complexity, and people tend to love the simplicity of the music, the simpler music today. It's like gone are the days where people brought out songs that talked about the struggles and the suffering and the cultural vibes. Right now, it's all about
the social issues.
Yes,
easier. Life is easier. You have your phone. Everything is easier. Pay less attention. There's not as much. Well, the struggle still exists, but it's not in people's face as it used to be because everything's easier. Food is much more available. Varieties of food, so you don't have to worry too much about going to catch the animal or lighting the fire, blowing the fire, and so on. Little things like that. A lot of ease. Life has become much easier, so people pay less attention. You have more leisure time. So it's kind of.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, for example, like jazz, people would say, well, with jazz music, you're playing 3,000 chords for 10 people in jazz. But with popular music, you play 2 chords for 20 million people and so on. And, it's kind of more appealing. The simpler things, the greater majority of people, it's little ideas like that. Why I don't have to work as hard because I can just get my beat and everybody's, it's happy music and so forth.
Yeah,
but there'll always be music. We come from the generation before and a good idea is the Haitian music, the old taboos and the old magnums and all that, compared to the, it's different.
Yes.
That's why the music today, everything, as Chubby say, you go play everything song the same today. Nobody play music today, man.
Yeah,
it's music, but it's a different. It's music with much more simplicity and ease, and nothing wrong with that. It's the new generation. You have to embrace what it is. We come from a different time. We just have to uphold our own, and they do their own. We can get together. So you have upstage. There's some boyo, there's some cadence, and everybody appreciates.
Yeah, man.
Thing,
Well,
respect.
Go ahead, Russell. Go ahead.
No, just saying, respect to everybody, their skills, their talent, their inspirations.
Embracing different.
Yeah. So enough respect. I mean, there will be certain things I don't really. Especially the lyrics today, I don't really catch much of the lyrics. I mean, we are not teaching the children much at all, and it is one of my greatest abstaining from the vibes is the lyrics. When I listen, the beat is good. Yeah, beat is beat, but the lyrics sometimes it can be, wow, is that what we're teaching the children? Is that what we want the generation to learn? So it kind of leaves me in the old school category,
Mm-hmm.
Well, society is much more permissive now than it was, and these are just functions of time. The tangent of time, things become more permissive and so forth, and it's just a function of time, and things get, the rules get loosened up, the morality question gets a little more, permissive, and people take advantage, and so on and so on. What was taboo before is now,
yeah,
acceptable and so on.
That's what I call the casualty of modern technology, because the world has evolved. There's new softwares. There is new things available to make things easier for people, right? But with that, what we lose is the discipline to focus and the real, true appreciation for what it takes to make good music. You understand? Because, like Spikey said, you give a guy a MIDI keyboard, he has one finger, pum, 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 pum. He has a software, and hit another key plays a drum, hit another key plays a guitar, and that's the music. One man just sits there, and somebody chants about it, and he has a hit song, which everybody loves, But really and truly, what do you really appreciate music when you make music like this? Like you said, Russell, you take your days to sit down and practice to get a chorus. When you finally get that thing, you feel that satisfaction that you work hard for it.
Yes, man, definitely.
Well, if we put it this way, if you want ease, you have to give up toil. I suppose you give up you give up toil for ease, and that is, I suppose, if you want this, you have to give up that. So as the evolution goes on, things become, I don't want to say more watered down in any way. It's not necessarily watered down, but it's not necessary to hard anymore.
It is watered down. It is watered down.
My brother, there's nothing wrong with telling, just saying it like it is. It is what it is, my brother. Because let me tell you something, there's no way I could listen to a chubby or listen to what all you're playing and then go. I cannot listen to Booyah music, and I'm not bashing it, because 100 songs and they all sung the same. But when you listen to an Exile on a solo, a black machine, a black roots, that's different, man. You learn to appreciate that. You understand? I don't know, man. It's just I
appreciate the creativity of the Booyah in the sense that the things they sing about, they just sing about it in a different way, and they use different words. Okay, so words we wouldn't use before, they would use them, and it's more acceptable today because it's the same meter. I love my it's the same music. It's just that they're saying it the way we were not allowed to say it back then. And I suppose.
Okay. So Russell asked a few questions a minute ago. He said, okay, so there's Booyah and there's Nasty Business, right? And he asked a question. He said, is that what we want to teach our kids? You understand? Booyah music, it has its appeal, right? It's catchy, fine. And some of the Booyah music, which I give some of them guys props, they actually write songs. They actually write lyrics. Like Simon Ban, he write I'll be there for you, singing about Dominica, and but some of the Nasty Business, I mean, really, it is so raw and unfiltered, and and that now is starting to become a genre of its own. Nasty Business. There's Booyah, there's Nasty Business. You know that, right?
Well, there was
Yeah,
I
but
don't know, but there was always nasty business. If you go back and you look at a lot of, if you go to YouTube and you Google banned vinyl, you'll be shocked at what you'll find.
Mm.
But that's a totally under. I mean, you'll never
Underground,
hear those things
not
publicly.
mainstream.
Well, it's yeah, right. But nowadays, the society from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, it's more permissible. You can say these things, less censor. Fewer people are offended then.
Right.
Your grandmother, your mother might want to hear it, but your sister will nod and shake her head and so on. And as time goes by, I don't know how far it will go, but it has gotten to a point of tacit acceptance. It's okay for carnival and so on, and that's cool. But as to that's what we want to teach our children. The children are going to hear it, somehow, if we can avoid them hearing it until a certain time. But it's so pervasive because social media it's like blood through the body. It's everywhere. It's out there. It's everywhere. Shield who you can if you can, but it's everywhere.
Man.
So we try to apply a filter where we can, see what we can filter out for us and the children and all of that. But it's
Right.
best
yeah,
we
man. That's why people
Gentlemen,
never have a problem bringing their kids to our gig because they know that they ain't gonna hear no kind of corruption. They gonna hear, yes, it's danceable, it's rock and roll, it's shake up, but the education is on a level.
Right.
The lyrics come, no swearing, no, just good vibration.
Well,
According to Chubby,
no B's and MFs and all that.
sweet music.
Yes, man. Yeah, me lion. Good vibration.
Good old manners. Good
Yeah.
old manners.
Yes, man.
But gentlemen, it is
Yeah.
10:03, and I can't believe we've already come to the end of the program. 2 hours seems too short.
Yes,
2 hours seems too short. So unfortunately, we were not able to get Ted. Hopefully next time we can have him on. But let me thank you all profusely for taking time off your busy schedule to join us tonight to engage in a very revealing, exciting, captivating, enlightening discussion.
yes, man.
And I want you,
Well, thank you much, man. A pleasure being here, sort of giving a view here and a view here, and
I mean,
much respect for the opportunity and the privilege.
knowledge is something that we must always welcome.
Power.
And both of you have immense knowledge in the field of music, and you have a lot to offer. And of course, we are fully being Impulse. You all know that. Biggest fans. So we wish you all the best, all the success in the future. We look forward to whatever, events and albums you have coming forward. And we just wish you all the best. So I'll give you the opportunity right now to, say your last words, Spikey and Russell.
Well, I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm glad to have Russell here because I'm glad he's here tonight because we both go back 50 years, 1975, and it's 2025. So it's really a milestone in our sort of being healthy, alive, and well, and being able to play together most of all. So that's a privilege. And as we say goodbye, before Russell gives his final words, to you, Donovan, Labile Rubina.
You know it. That's my jam.
Yes, man. Yes,
All
man.
right, Russell.
Yeah, got to say thanks, man, for having us on. And to your commentator,
Host.
Yeah.
the co-host there, man. Enough respect. Thanks very much, man.
Yes, man.
And as Spikey said, man, we go back a long way. 1975 DGS. Up to now, we still tight,
Yes, sir.
so enough respect. And to all the people at home, we don't want to bash anybody. We just want to say we believe education. We mean to teach the children things. We don't want the children astray. So we as the elder have to be an example, even in the music, in the way we behave, the way we carry ourselves. And that's what we want to do in music. Just bring good vibrations,
Yes, I.
to each and everyone.
Yes, I. Enough respect.
Yes,
Did
man.
you, Kojak?
Yes, my brothers, I keep up the good work. I say we appreciate you for coming on VTGM and, giving us your experience. And Spikey, Cecil Joseph say, what's up, So,
Yeah, big hello to Cecil. Big up, Cecil.
Yeah, all the best, man, in your endeavors, brother.
Yes.
Yes, I am. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Let me say
Much
good night to
appreciated.
all the listeners and all the fans of VTJM Radio and all who follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you very much. We wish you a wonderful evening, a blessed night. And again, we will see again Spikey and Derek, Spikey and Russell.
Yes, man.
You will see me somewhere around Impulse very
Yes.
soon.
La Billy Rubina.
Yes, I bless up, man. Good night.
Yeah,
All right.
take good care,
All
man.
right.
One love.
Pleasure.
One love,
Yeah,
bro.
man. Keep trotting.
All right.
All the best.
Bye. Pleasure. Okay.
Yes,
Bye.
I am.